Hey, what's up? This is Napier back with another video, and today's video is going to be about how long sports has been rigged. I don't really get into debates and arguments anymore about this stuff. If you still believe in sports, I wouldn't watch this video if I was you. But I just wanted to get into how long this stuff has been rigged and just show how they do the rigging and how they do all this stuff. So I've brought people that's involved in the NFL. I'm not bringing people that, are just talking on the sideline, fans and stuff like that. This is people that actually are involved in the NFL, that have been in the NFL, that have been behind the scenes, explaining how they rig this stuff up. So without any further ado, we're going to get into the first video, which is Arian Foster explaining about his experience in the NFL and his football season. So just listen to what Arian Foster has to say about this.
So, Arian, it's funny, before we started taping, Arian was telling me about how the NFL is rigged and how every year he used to get a script.
Yeah.
Day one of training camp that would get dropped off at his locker. And you would have to, it was like week 1, you'll do this. Week 2, you're going to have a hamstring injury. Week 3, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Week 4, you're going to get 3 touchdowns. And so then you just have to, did you memorize those before the season started, or would you go and rehearse the script before every game?
We're really dedicated to it, so it was more so like that's what practice was about. It was about practicing the script. Like, this is what goes on, and this is what we have to do in order to. Yeah.
And this referee is going to miss this call
Yeah,
because
we
they
do.
hate you
Yeah.
and they love the Colts,
Yeah,
that
it's like,
sort of thing.
WWF, so it's like,
Yeah.
we know what's going to happen, but you still got to put on a show.
All right, so you heard him clearly say, clear as day, that when they go to practice, they're practicing the script. That he got a script for his whole season, that he was going to be hurt on week 3, and week 3 hadn't even got here yet. So this next set of videos is going to be from Dwight Smith, who played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they played the Oakland Raiders in the Super Bowl. So I got Dwight Smith, Tim Brown, and Jerry Rice, all 3 in the same game. 2 of them on one team, one's on the other one, all saying the exact same thing.
I don't like to get into that because I don't believe the game is really decided on the field. So, I don't get into all the X's and O's and talking, man. Like I said, I played in the game. I set a Super Bowl record, and we knew every play they was running before the game started. So, hey, who am I to say?
Well, tell us about that week leading up to the Super Bowl, because that was the big thing. Bill Callahan was the Raiders coach at the time. Obviously, John Gruden had just come over. Tell us about that week of preparation leading up to the game and how it was executed by you guys. I mean, you could know which plays are coming. And
Tim Brown and Jerry Rice come out and say that they made them run John Gruden's offense?
Yes. Yep. It was his offense, and you guys knew exactly what was coming. Did you know every single play?
They didn't run that offense all year, though. Ain't it odd that you would run it when you're playing against us?
So did you guys know every play before the ball was snapped?
I'm just saying, man, the game ain't decided on the field. That's all I'm going to say.
So this is what happens. We win the AFC Championship. We don't have a weekend in between, so we got to get right to it. Thankfully, they had prepared for us to win the game. So Monday morning, we get a booklet that says game plan to a championship, right? And we all thinking, oh, Lord, please, their defense averaged 280 on defensive front. Our offensive line averaged 350, 340. Please let this be, a smash mouth type game plan. Open it up, bam, it's like heaven. Smash mouth, smash mouth. We're going to go Wheatley and Crockett, and we're going to smash mouth, and we're going to, beat these little guys up. Friday morning we get in, and we have a brand new game plan. I'd never had a coach 2 days before a game change a game plan. And to change the game plan so drastically from we're not going to smash them out, we're going to try and throw the ball 60 times versus this guys. We go into the Super Bowl knowing that we don't have a chance to win.
Okay, so you got 3 different players from the same game saying the exact same thing. And I believe all 3 of them. Now, what brought me to this situation in the first place and what got me to this conclusion was in the 2015 game with the Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers when they robbed the Bengals of that playoff game. I decided to go look up Art Rooney's bio just to see why we could never beat the Steelers and why they always cheat the Bengals when we play them. So this is what I found. In 1936, Art Rooney was gambling on horses and hit a 5-part parlay for $160,000 in 1936. Now, he bought the Steelers with $2,500, which is the biggest come up I've ever seen in my life. To go from a $2,500 team to an $8 billion team, that's a great ass investment. But the fact still remain, these guys were gambling. And gamblers that win this kind of money don't stop gambling.
As long as there have been professional sports, there's been gambling. But when you are talking about pro football gambling, you're talking about organized crime's major source of income, billions, which law enforcement agencies tell us are then used to fund other mob ventures, drugs and prostitution and racketeering.
At last year's Super Bowl, Americans bet over $5 billion.
Super Bowl 16, America's greatest sports spectacle.
10 20.
The two teams with the best records in football.
CBS Sports featured Jimmy the Greek Snyder. He was once convicted of illegal bookmaking, but this popular television tipster was granted a presidential pardon. The amount of money bet on a game can shift the points up or down. So several of those who come here are paid by illegal bookies and heavy bettors outside Nevada to phone in the latest changes. But the odds are not set first in the sports books, but by the outlaw line, which is inextricably linked to organized crime.
$22 billion was bet on sports gambling in the United States. That was in September of 1980. Since that time, there have been figures up to $25 billion and higher.
All right, so y'all heard that right. He said they made $25 billion in 1980. It is 2025 and gambling is legal now. So how much you think they making now if they was making that much money back in 1980? But let's continue.
Behind the walls of this top security prison is a man who says he helped fix 4 professional games a year in 1968, 69, and 70. He says he was part of a syndicate of illegal bookies and their mafia associates. John Piazza. In return for financial assistance to his wife, Piazza repeated a story he has already told law enforcement officers.
We had the coach, and we had the quarterback, who was the offensive captain, and we had the defensive captain. Well, with the quarterback, if he knew the perimeters of the scores that we wanted to hold, maybe he was down close to scoring a touchdown. But a touchdown would have put it out of the reach of where we wanted to go. So he'd throw a bad pass or throw it out of bounds and only kick a field goal. So that he had control of where the points would fall. With the defensive back, if it got out of control and maybe somebody intercepted a pass and ran it back or something that the offense has no control over, then the defensive back could slip or let somebody beat him on coverage or something, enough to control where the points would fall. The coach, if you got a quarterback that's supposed to be a very, very good quarterback who has an extremely high percentage of completions, and then all of a sudden today he's throwing them in the ground and throwing them in the seats and throwing them at a lot of different places. You don't want the crowd to start yelling at the coach and the coach to pull the player out when we need him to protect our investment.
The purpose of this test is to determine your knowledge of and participation in payoffs for controlling the spread of points during a given professional football game. Have you voluntarily agreed to take this test?
Yes.
Frontline gave Piazza a lie detector test. These tests are not infallible, but this one found that he was telling the truth. He gave names, games, dates, and the actual amounts of money that changed hands.
He gave games, dates, names, and the actual amounts of money that exchanged hands. I don't know how much more people got to hear, but at that point, Andy took a lie detector test and passed it. But let's continue.
So if we took in $3 million, that means that they were going to get an extra $300,000. It could mount up to, Pacific Instance, $800,000 was the total payoff. The intermediary arrived in a car with 2 football players that were on the team. And the only way that I would give the money to the intermediary was to recognize the people in the car that were the football players and for him to get in the car with them so that them and the money left together. Otherwise, they might have been able to say that we didn't meet our commitment or we didn't fulfill our end of the bargain or, whatever. But I wanted to make sure that the money and them were in the same car.
Now, football is and was my favorite sport, so that's why I got more football footage than I got basketball, but I didn't leave the basketball out. So here go a clip of Dominique Wilkins, and the people that's around my age know who Dominique Wilkins is. This dude has no reason to lie about none of this stuff. So here's a clip of him talking about what they made him do in the NBA game.
I remember Sterling actually our coach came along and he said, "You guys don't be upset. But I've been told to take y'all out after the first 5 minutes of the game because Sterling want to see David Robinson keep the scoring title in the West because he didn't want Shaquille O'Neal to get the scoring title in the East.
I remember when he hit 60 or something like
He
that.
hit 70.
70.
He hit 70. He had 43
Timeout.
at
So that
half.
game was fixed. He told y'all that y'all not gonna play because he want them.
Took us out, and if you go back and watch that game, we didn't play after that.
I remember Dave
And
Robinson.
I
hitting
remember
70,
walking off the bench
but I don't know
toward the end of the game, and I'm out. They can't offer me enough. I'm done.
You out of there.
Cardinal sin, you started betting on NBA games, including games that you were reffing yourself.
Yes.
And did betting on the NBA give you a higher high than betting on other sports?
I think it gave me a higher high because I was able to predict the outcome of the games. And I think when you talk about gambling and the euphoria that comes with it, making winning picks is what excites you.
How many games did you bet on?
I think I bet on probably over 100 games.
Over 100. And how many of those were you reffing yourself?
A lot.
Okay, so that was Tim Donaghy, and you can go look that interview up. That was on 60 Minutes. He's got plenty of footage on YouTube. But have you ever wondered why the refs are so untouchable and why you can't say nothing to them? You can't get on TV and talk about how bad the refs was without being fined. The refs never get fines. They can ruin somebody's whole season, playoff opportunities, never get in no trouble, nothing. That's why, because that's how they mediate these games with the refs. The refs are basically like the police. They're untouchable. You can't say nothing to them. They can just do what they want. Your game's over with. Your season's over with, and that's it. But anyway, like I said, I just wanted to just show this footage and show this to people because, you know, I see people online tearing up their TVs, getting into fights with their friends and all this different stuff over sporting events, and it's not that serious. This is supposed to be for entertainment. It's not supposed to be taken literally. I'm not saying that some of these people don't get hurt in real life. Even on wrestling, I know some of these people really do get hurt. They really do sustain injuries. That's not the part that's fake. The fake part is the outcomes of these matches and these contests. So that's what is being debated. It's not about who's getting hurt. If these guys are really throwing somebody off a 30-foot cage, yeah, we know that's true. But at the same time, the outcomes of these matches and these games or whatever contests, the championships, most of them are already predetermined. Like I said, I still gamble. I just gamble with the cheating. I don't gamble on football and I don't gamble on basketball. Like I said, I'll mess with baseball and I'll mess with hockey because to me it's easier to pick a home run or somebody to hit a goal. It's better odds and it's just something better to bet on versus having somebody, you know, have to get 20 points and then you bet them and then these motherfuckers get 10 and then sit down the rest of the game and you wonder why. So I just wanted to bring that up. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I'll holler at y'all next time.